This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Paging the Detroit Tigers. Earth to the Detroit Tigers. What has happened to our baseball team? 6 straight losses. The offense is lifeless. The team feels like they are at an all-time low. Welcome in to a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I'm your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And the 6-game losing streak continues. The latest, a 4-1 defeat at the hands of the Texas Rangers tonight at Globe Life Field Saturday night. And stop me if you've heard this one before. The Tigers offense non-existent. Kumar Rocker just shutting down this Tigers team. We'll talk about it. And someone can hopefully in the comments talk me off the ledge, because if I was fired up last night, tonight, more of the same, as the post-All-Star break has gotten off to about as bad of a start as you could possibly draw up. We'll also have our biggest talking point, our turning point, our player of the game, of course, and so much more. Get in on the comments. It's a live Locked On Tigers postcast, and it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. Drop us a like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. Check out Locked On Tigers on the daily with Scott Bentley as well, because listen, as this team, the losing streak continues on, we got to stick together. I mean, my goodness, that's about all we can do right now. So sound off in the comments if you're as frustrated as I am. And we begin where we always do, the biggest talking point. If you were to tell a friend about this game, how would you summarize it? And it's real simple. It's the offense. So I'll let the sounder go, and we'll figure out a new and unique way to talk about how bad this Tigers team has looked post All-Star break.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I keep going back to the phrase, or I guess the term, lifeless. And it's so frustrating because not only is the production not there, but the body language, the striking out, the hanging your head, it's just so polar opposite to everything that this team was for the entirety of the first half of the season, or leading up to the All-Star break. I mean, and I don't want to, I single out guys, sure, and I'm not picking on Riley Green, because obviously he had the home run there late in the game after it felt like this game had already been decided. But at least, you avoid the shutout or whatever for whatever that's worth. But he strikes out a couple of times earlier in the game, and it's just there's no life to this team. There's no pep in the step. There's no charisma. There's no urgency. It's just guys out there looking like they're going through the motions. And I understand that happens over the course of 162 games season, but when you're living and dying with every pitch, like we are as fans, it's so frustrating to watch. And I know you shouldn't live and die with every pitch, but that's my personality. Nothing's going to change. It's so frustrating to watch a team that looks like they don't want to be there. It looks like they don't want any part of the action on the field. And it's just bizarre because, again, it's so polar opposite. And I understand, listen, I'm going to say the counter argument or devil's advocate before anybody else does, that, every player's different, just because, they're not slamming bats and throwing helmets and stuff doesn't mean they're not upset or what have you. But man, it is just looking like this team, there's no pulse right now. There's no feel to the guys out there 1 through 9. And Kumar Rocker, I mean, former first-round pick out of Vanderbilt. They have very, very high hopes for him and the Texas Rangers organization. Sure, obviously, I'm very well plugged into the Rangers organization in my day job on 105.3 The Fan, the flagship station with the Texas Rangers. But he hasn't been a world beater this season or at any point in his career. He's shown signs, but tonight he looked like a Cy Young candidate out there. I mean, no hits through 6 innings. I mean, I guess the Tigers got their first hit in the 6th inning, but that's just his 3rd win of the season. And I know wins and losses aren't everything, but 6 1/3, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Kumar Rocker was putting the Tigers away like the Tigers didn't have a pulse. And that is so frustrating to watch, because this Tigers team has been stuck on 59 wins, and they boasted the best record in all of baseball, 6 All-Stars. everything was going right until it wasn't. And I know that's the most obvious statement, but in an instant reaction show, that's as real as I can be and as real as I can make it. So let's get into some of these comments before we run through just how bad it was. But if you watch the game tonight, I don't need to remind you that, a 4-1 defeat with 3 hits, and one of those hits just being a meaningless solo home run in the top of the 9th inning when the Tigers were down 4-0. But nonetheless, it is a career high for Riley Green home runs for a single season. So there you go. A little credit to Riley Green, his 25th of the season. But he continues to strike out with more than anybody by far. I believe he is double digits more strikeouts than the next highest in the American League. And I thought I heard on the Rangers broadcast, don't quote me on this, so this is not, I'm not citing this, but I thought I heard Randy Arozarena for the Seattle Mariners is next up, and he's something like 14 strikeouts less than Riley Green. But nonetheless, I'm not going to keep picking on Riley Green. He's a leader of this team. He's one of the faces of this team. He's an all-star, and, again, he gets the home run, but just no life from this Tigers team. All right, let's get into the comments. The dude is up first. Our lineup just got worked by a starting pitcher with a 6.39 ERA. Exactly. Like I said, I'm not picking on Kumar Rocker or being disrespectful because he's a former first-round pick. The Rangers have high hopes for him, but he's gotten shelled a couple of times this season. Demetrius McNeil checking in, the hangover from being swept by the Mariners before the break. Now it's up to Tarik Skubal to help the Tigers to a win. It's the 7th loss in a row, no longer the best record in baseball as well. There you go. I would completely agree with that. I believe that's the 6th loss in a row. I got to go back and double check, but I had 6 because you had the 4 to Seattle, or the 3 to Seattle. You had a 4-game losing streak going into the break, and then the 5th and the 6th. But nonetheless, the losses are piling up. Sean Gray is up next. Tigers offense just swinging at everything. Not even close to the zone. Yeah, zero plate discipline up there as well. Dylan at the game, waste of money, man. Sorry to hear that, Dylan Palaya. Hey, I've said this before about Globe Life Field. Sometimes it feels like a shopping mall, but with as hot as it is outside, 90 degrees, I understand why the Rangers have an indoor venue. Well, retractable roof, but rarely is that roof open. But I'll be there tomorrow night. So Locked On Tigers postcast will be a little later than normal, depending on how the game goes. Still going to do a show, of course, but I wanted to get out there and see Tarik Skubal versus Nathan Eovaldi. What a pitching matchup that will be, Sunday night baseball. So stick around, hoping to be able to be on the air shortly thereafter the conclusion of the game, but got to account for the time it takes me to get from Globe Life to the old home studio there. So there you go. Mark is up next. PTSD from Red Wings last season. Yeah, a little bit. I don't think the Red Wings were ever mistaken for the best team in the league. Did they hit a wall and fall drastically? Yes, and that's what's happening to this Tigers team. So I will get the comparison there. John Meadows looking troublesome. Indeed, it is. And Benjamin Brewer is up next. Let's get some of that best minor league organization up here and send down some of the worst hitters in all of baseball to replace them. Yeah, it is true. That's all we hear about is how great the Erie Seawolves are, and it's the best minor league lineup in all of baseball. So maybe it is time for that. But I know there's a fine line between being reactionary like we are right now and over the course of 162 games and so on and so forth, and understanding what gives you the best chance to win and knowing when to hit the panic button versus when to weather the storm, if you will. So all of that, I think, is being carefully processed and pondered by AJ Hinch and Scott Harris and the rest of the Tigers organization. But I think we can all agree it's time to make some serious moves at the trade deadline. All right, Mark is up next. Anyone else get annoyed when they're laughing on the bench down 4-1? I didn't necessarily see that, but assuming it's after the Riley Green home run. These guys, listen, I'm not making excuses for them, but they're consummate professionals. The 6-game losing streak is one thing. I get what you're saying. I also, maybe this is talking out of both sides of my mouth because I said I'd love to see some life, and you haven't seen that. So there's certainly a fine balance there, but I appreciate that comment because, again, we care. I mean, we love this team, and to see them lose 6 in a row and it not bother them, that it would be that would certainly be concerning. All right. Javi Baez Prod says we need to ship out Sweeney somewhere. That seems to be a reoccurring comment. I don't have the answer there. All right. Let's see. Gary Myers says, so disappointing. Hello, Mr. Harris. It's time to act. The clock is ticking. Jeff S says Hinch is a great manager. Just wish he'd show fire once in a while. Milk and cookie guy. Yeah, I think he's got that fire. Maybe we see it behind closed doors. I think he's definitely got that fire and knows when to bring it out. And I don't want that to sound like, I'm just some AJ Hinch defender, but 6-game losing streak, 0 life, 0 urgency, 0 really just signs of any type of intensity or desire to win in the first 2 games following the All-Star break. So if there's an AJ Hinch, I wouldn't say come to Jesus speak, but that type of get the attention of the ball club, maybe now is the time to bring it up. All right. One more comment here, and then we'll get into our second portion of the program. This one's from R1VJ4. Team went on break before All-Star break and still on break. Nothing competitive about producing. Like someone telling them they like to lay back. Got too comfortable. Need to get that fight back. Indeed. Got to get that fight back. That's probably the biggest way to put it. We got to get the gritty Tigers back. Where are the gritty Tigers? That's what we love about this team. Where are the gritty Tigers? All right, don't go anywhere. We'll keep the lights on, and then we'll do our turning point player of the game and look ahead to tomorrow on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Hey, I'm fired up to tell you all about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And of course, the proud sponsor of today's program, making the Locked On Tigers postcast show possible. It's FanDuel Sports. And hey, listen up and listen good. Summer is in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling with FanDuel? And with FanDuel, you can get all the games and get in on all the action while your friends, they're out there getting sunburned on the beach. I love that. So whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like a part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So don't get sunburnt. Okay, I added that one. But open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Tigers lose 4-1. Losing streak has reached 6 games. They'll try to avoid the sweep tomorrow. Let's check out our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Sometimes I get a little bit too predictable with these turning points and just kind of call it how I see it. But tonight, I could easily say, okay, it's the 3-run home run by Rowdy Tellez, who's an absolute unit, by the way. But I think this game, it never felt like the Tigers even showed up. And, I don't know how much different it is than in last night's game, but okay, that happens from time to time. But for 18 straight innings to just be non-existent against a middling 500 ball club that's certainly on the outside of the playoffs and looking in. I mean, they're definitely not out of it. The American League, not really anybody's out of it in the wild card standings, but they're 8.5, now 7.5 games back in the division. The Texas Rangers, they look like the team with the best record in baseball playing against a lifeless Tigers team. So turning point, I'm going to say, usually it's the opposite when the Tigers are out there dominating. I say when the Tigers took the field, the game turned. But it did for the opposite reason. This team just, again, had no aspirations to play baseball tonight. And that is just the best way I can put it. Just no desire to even put forth a competitive baseball game in game 2 of the series against the Rangers. So they lose the series. So how about our player of the game?
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Kumar Rocker enters with an ERA north of 6 and just proceeds to shut out the Tigers. And his, I guess a better way to put it, because Riley Green ruined the shutout spoiled the shutout with the solo home run, but he had a no-hitter through 5 innings. I mean, my goodness, a dominating performance from a guy who has had a little bit of an up and down big league tenure, albeit very, very early. He's still technically a rookie. He didn't have enough games in the league last year at the major league level to warrant this being his second year. So he's still eligible for all the rookie awards, but Kumar Rocker looked really good tonight. And so he's your player of the game. And unfortunately it's the back-to-back nights where it's Rangers players that are players of the game. If you're a Tigers fan, Rocker 6 1/3, 1 hit, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, did not give up a run. So there you have it. Tigers will try to do better tomorrow and avoid the sweep. What a pitching matchup it is. Sunday night baseball, 7:10 Eastern time, first pitch. You got Tarik Skubal on the mound. He's 10-3 with a 2.23 ERA, 153 strikeouts. Nathan Eovaldi, who somehow was not an all-star, which is just egregious. He's 7-3 with a 1.58 ERA. And one neat thing about Nathan Eovaldi that the Rangers as an organization did, they recognized he should have been an all-star and went ahead and paid him a 1,000 or I don't know the exact amount. Was it 100? I have to double check, but they paid him his all-star bonus because he should have been an all-star. It was egregious that he wasn't. So good on the Rangers organization there. All right, let's go ahead and probably just call it a night. It's been a difficult 2 games, and before I get really angry and read some of these terrible comments, no, not terrible comments, but negative comments, let's call it a night. We'll break, and like I said, I'm going to the game tomorrow night, Tigers, Rangers, Skubal versus Eovaldi. So we'll do the Locked On Tigers postcast a little bit later than normal, but we'll still have a show. So hope you'll tune in. Thanks as always for tuning in. And you know what? Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Go ahead and like and subscribe to the Locked On Tigers postcast or Locked On Tigers in general. It's all under one umbrella, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team each and every day, free and available. Talk to you tomorrow night. Tigers try to avoid the sweep. They lose once again to the Rangers 4-1 tonight. Skubal versus Eovaldi tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Talk to you tomorrow.